look worried, Bruce.
That was a phone call from a Major Schulte.
Who?
He was a former military leader of the Third Reich. A man I've tangled with on a number of occasions.
It looks as if you're going to tangle with him again.
No, that's not possible.
He's just phoned you. I'd say nothing was more possible.
I've met Major Schulte many times, and I particularly remember the last occasion.
It seems that he does as well.
Yes, except it's impossible. You see, I was present at his execution.
A telephone call from a dead man. British agent Bruce Courage, just returned from an assignment overseas, has once again been asked to venture into the unknown in the service of his country. His mission is known to only a handful of trusted people, yet no sooner has Bruce Courage arrived at his flat than he receives a mysterious telephone call. A call from a dead man.
Bruce, do you mean to stand there and tell me that that call wasn't a hoax?
That was no hoax, Vicky. I was there at his execution, but I know that that was his voice. I can't be wrong.
Phones can do strange things to people's voices.
But his mannerisms, the short, precise sentences, the accent. No, it was Major Schulte.
Oh, Bruce, I don't like the sound of this.
Me neither.
I don't like it any more than you do. In fact, I'm going to cancel our trip to Lake Zemo.
Cancel?
I'm sure Colonel James will understand.
I hope you know what you're doing.
I do. And to quote an old cliche, I'd rather be a live coward than a dead hero.
Oh, well, there goes my holiday.
On the contrary, you and I are going to Cornwall as originally planned.
What?
We'll leave in the morning, and on the way down, we'll call in on Colonel James and tell him what's happened.
Does that mean I can stay here and work on your car?
Yeah, we'll take Vicky's car. And you can have the pleasure of tinkering with mine for a few days. Now, don't bother. We'll go to the Madrid Club. I'll just get my jacket.
Ginger, I've never seen Bruce like this before. That phone call seems to have really upset him.
You're right. First assignment I've ever known him turn down. Still, I guess there's a first time for everything. Anyway, you get your holiday and I get the use of the car, so we're all happy.
Let's go then.
I'm merely a woman, but will one of you please tell me what's going on? Spanish guitar music, you said, and here we are listening to tea music among the potted palms.
Did I ever tell you how beautiful you look when you're angry?
Yeah, honey, your eyes really
Like
flash.
fiery coals.
That does it. Goodbye, both of you.
Hey, just a minute, sweetheart. Just a minute. Sit down.
I'm not staying.
Sit down and I'll explain.
All right. You can start by explaining why you told me not to talk until we got here.
Look, honey,
I didn't know my talking distracted you from driving. Anyway, it's not as though I talk much.
You reckon?
And while you're about it, you might tell me why we're at the Coffee Bean and not the Madrid Club.
Vicky.
Come to think of it, you've been behaving quite idiotically since we saw Colonel James. I think the strain's been too much for you.
Vicky.
Give the guy a chance, will you, Vicky?
All right, explain.
Gee, I'd hate to really upset you, Vicky.
Me too. Now, all right, Vicky, I'll explain.
Everything.
Everything.
From the beginning.
From the beginning.
Right through to the end without stopping.
Well, to the end, not stopping, will depend on you.
Right. Begin.
Now, although that telephone call was definitely Major Schulte's voice, I can't help thinking it was a trick.
But you said it wasn't.
Vicky.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Now, we can assume that Colonel James's headquarters are 100% safe. Yet someone already knows that we were assigned to Lake Zemo. In fact, they seem to know quite a lot about us. It's as if they were with us all the time. And in a sense, they were.
But how?
By shortwave radio.
I don't understand.
Now, you remember the night you let the telephone engineers into my flat?
Yes.
Well, where was my car?
Well, I had it. In fact, I drove over to your flat in it.
Did you let anyone touch it?
Of course not.
You
You
sure?
Quite. Well,
Go on.
one of the engineers said it was parked over an inspection cover in the road and offered to move it for me.
And you gave him the keys?
Well, yes. Did I do something wrong?
Nothing you would possibly have known about. You see, while he was moving it, he placed a small radio transmitter under the dashboard.
Oh, Bruce.
Ginger found it when we got back to the flat.
Sorry.
Not to worry, but whoever rigged that radio listened into our conversation on the drive back from Colonel James.
And I talked non-stop.
And I also suspect my telephone has been rigged so that everything we said in the flat was heard.
Everything? Good job Ginger was with us, otherwise they'd have had plenty to think about.
Yeah, I really must rig up something so that I can hear what goes on when you two are alone.
You're too young, Ginger.
That's a matter of opinion. Now listen, Bruce. Why did they choose to follow you when there were several men the colonel might have put on this job?
I'm not sure. They could have found out that I was due home and that the job was my type of work. Or it could have been a leak from headquarters.
Doubtful.
Yeah, I agree. But I imagine Colonel James's staff can be bought at the right price, same as anywhere else.
Well, where do we go from here?
To Lake Zemo.
But you said you were going to drop out.
Vicky, I said that for the benefit of whoever was listening in. Now, after that phone call, my hunch was to play things exactly the way they wanted. In other words, to say we weren't going. But we are. And a little sooner than we originally planned.
When does that mean?
In an hour's time.
Bruce, the radios, they'll know.
We'll turn the radios to our own advantage. Now, with luck, we'll gain a few hours' start before they realize what's happened. But we've got to work fast. We're dealing with experts.
I'm sorry, darling, for not trusting you. Hey, wait a minute. You haven't explained about the coffee bar.
Easy. For a long time, Bruce and I have had a special signal. If he says, I feel like a cup of coffee, it means he wants to talk and away from the immediate area.
Remember that, Vicky. It may come in handy one day.
I won't forget. Come to think of it, I must devise a signal for when I want to be alone with you.
There's no need. You just look in my direction. I'll get the message.
Whoops, if I'm in the way,
We'll let you know. Now, let's get moving. Vicky, on the way back to the flat, I want you to talk about our holiday in Cornwall. Be angry with me for not talking to you on the way here. That'll explain your sudden silence. Ginger, you talk about the car and say you think there's 4 days' work to be done on the engine.
Right.
How are you going to explain that we haven't been to the Madrid club?
Well, all you have to do is to talk about something we've just bought and then say how you need that coffee and we'll go over to the Madrid.
Why on earth didn't we go straight there?
It's just a precaution in case our friends decided to turn up there and eavesdrop on our conversation. We're likely to be followed everywhere we go.
How do you know we haven't been followed here?
Oh, we have.
What?
You see the young man sitting in the window?
Oh, that one on his own? Looks like an actor.
He is. But he's also one of Colonel James's men. As a matter of fact, Ginger, if he's free at the moment, I can give him a few more days' work.
You may be putting him in a dangerous position.
He knows enough to be aware of all the risks. Yep. I think you'll be exactly right for what I have in mind.